I've done some research and I'm going to give you a little history. I am with American Veterans Heritage Center, and we are located out at the Dayton VA campus in Building 120, which is the old patient library. The VA has been gracious enough to let us live there. So our offices are there, and we are involved in several things, but today I'm here to talk about the Patriot Freedom Festival. It's our annual signature event, and we encourage the community to come in and visit the campus. So there are a lot of historic buildings there. We run a tour. Actually, Margaret Crookmeyer provides a bus tour to our guests. This festival is this next festival. I have these, if you want to take one and pass it around. It's our 15th annual festival. We also I have these are our programs from last year, and a little save the date sticker on it, so the program will look similar to this, and it will tell you where the festival is and what's going on. There's been a lot of changes in the festival through the years, but let me start with the campus itself. I don't know how many people are really familiar with the history of the Dayton VA campus. 1867, the Congress established the National Home for Disabled Volunteer Soldiers. That was a long name. It was the precursor, of course, to the Veterans Affairs, and it provided the medical and other facilities for veterans of the American Civil War. 3 centers were established: Togus, Maine, the Central Branch here in Dayton, and the Northwest Branch in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The Dayton facility was the administrative center of the home and its principal commissary. And at that time, there was a Civil War camp just south of Columbus, and it ended up becoming a prisoner of war camp. When this was established, they tore that down. They brought all the lumber down from Columbus into Dayton, and they built the first barracks with that lumber. That's an interesting little piece of history. The Soldiers' Home Chapel was first dedicated in October of 1870. It is the oldest building on the campus, still surviving. It was the first church built with U.S. government funds on a national home campus. The original name, the National Asylum for Disabled Volunteer Soldiers, is engraved on the stone on the outside wall. It's undergone several changes through the years, but in 1998, this chapel was closed to the public because there was fears that the floor was deteriorating. So AVHC was established at that time to make effort to preserve the floor so that the chapel would not be torn down. That's been our goal, is to preserve some of the buildings on the campus. So that was preserved through a Save America's Treasures grant at that time. And by 2005, the mission was accomplished. The floor was repaired and paid for through the grants, and the rededication ceremony was in September of that year. Now, since then, in 2011, 2012, the VA was able to renovate the building, and it is now open today for normal use. So they had day services every week, and Sunday school as well. And the chapel is open to the public every day from 11 to 1. So if you ever decide that you really want to see the chapel, which is just beautiful, you can go during the week at that time. There's an organ inside that we are working to reinstate. So that has brought some funds, and the VA is helping us with that too. The big news, National VA History and Heritage Center. The National VA signed a memorandum of agreement to create the National VA Center and History Center at the Dayton VA Medical Center, which will bring with it 440 new jobs once completed over the next 5 years. They have stabilized the building at this point, and we are working to go into the fundraising with the help of many organizations throughout Dayton. It will store historical archives for the VA system, including art, artifacts, records, and photographs. Now, you can't go in the building when you come to the festival, but you will see the building. It's there. It's right across from the Putnam Library, which is where we're housed. Okay. Now, the purpose of the Patriot Freedom Festival is to honor our fallen heroes, remember the sacrifices, and welcome home our veterans, support our troops and their families, teach about and preserve our military history. That's one of the main purposes. Promote patriotism, invite and involve the community. Our first event was over Labor Day weekend in 2005, and it was called Reliving Veterans History. It was a very small, there was only a couple of reenacting groups that participated. It was the first time I was there as well. I had never been on the campus, didn't know anything about it. I didn't have, my father was not in the military, and I'm a transplant from Alliance, Ohio. So I was happy to go there. The Red Cross invited me to come and help the Boy Scouts that were going to participate, but I never saw any Boy Scouts. I just passed out water. So the second one, then we renamed it to Walk with Giants, and that was in 2006, and we held it over Memorial Day weekend. So that was the first time it was Memorial Day weekend. We kept that name for a couple of years, but people kept asking me, well, what is it? Is it a Volksmarch, or what is it? Are we going to walk somewhere? So we understood the confusion. If you're military, you know, we feel that our military are the giants of our society. So we understood that, but most people don't. The next year we had a carnival. And I'm telling you some of this because I'm going to tell you how we got from just focusing on the history to trying to get the public to come in. So we had carnival. Then a few years later, we started having entertainment. Then we invited vendors. And we may have gotten more people, but if they were on this side of the street listening to the entertainers and visiting the vendors, they weren't on the other side of the street where all the history was happening. We do seek support from the community and businesses to run this festival. There's no charge to come in, obviously, and there's no charge to park, so we don't have a way of making a lot of money, so donations is how we survive. In 2016, we had gone on through these years without really a theme each year. So in 2016, we decided to have a theme, and that was honoring our women in the military, and that was very successful, and we've done it ever since. This year, we've seen many changes. We've eliminated the live entertainment, and that's not to say we won't have it. We may have entertainment at a different time, because we are refocusing to the history of the campus, the history of our veterans. So we have reenactors from all periods, starting, well, with the Civil War. There is a museum, and I've brought brochures for the museum. That starts with the Revolution. We also have period reenactors, including Abraham and Mary Lincoln and Theodore Roosevelt and others. They teach about their period, and you will see artifacts and you will see items from those periods. Are there any questions?
Isn't the grotto included in all that?
The grotto is included in all that, and I also have information about the grotto. Lots of information. If anybody wants to pick these up on your way out, everybody can have one. We're supporting the Lincoln's Promise, the statue that's going out at the Dayton VA. Our members on our board are involved with that, so ABHC is supporting that. This is our brochure. This is the brochure for the museum. Be sure and pick one of those up, and that's open weekdays 9 to 4.
And I will tell you, if you've never been to that museum, it is well worth the trip over there. He's got some really awesome stuff there.
Are there any other questions? Yes.
Will they have the memorial service at the grotto on Friday?
Friday?
I think it's Friday. It was, the first one was the Friday.
It's Saturday at 4 o'clock is the Interfaith Memorial Service, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Have you been there?
First one.
Yeah. That's beautiful, yeah. Bob Downs is running it. He's done that every year for several years, so, weather permitting. Yeah, the backup is the chapel.
Do you need volunteers for that?
We need volunteers, yes. We need volunteers in the information booth. We also like to have the chapel open during the festival, so we need volunteers to be in the chapel. We can't leave it empty of our own people, so.
Yes, this would be a great way to give back to the community. I know last year I worked with Bonnie Rice. I was at her.
Bonnie's
booth.
my friend too. Yes, I
Yeah.
thought I recognized you.
I was there.
Yes.
With my red, white, and blue. Everybody had red, white, and blue at the table. It was really nice. And it was really exciting to me to see how they had the reenactment, you know, the people in actual costume. And I was just going by, let me take a picture with me, get a selfie, you know. I just loved it. It was really nice. So
I'm hoping to have time to reenact Mary Lowell Putnam this year.
Oh, wow.
So I can walk around in my black dress.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. But thank you so much for coming, and please let's give her a hand.
Thank you.